You know how you sometimes see these ads where people say, it wasn't good enough, so I had to invent it myself? That's kind of what we have to do, what we have had to do with Stallion Statistics. And really, that's what I've done my entire career, which now spans a lot of decades. Um, we developed Apex ratings because at Racing Update in the 1990s, because the existing methods of rating sires we felt didn't really give us the right answers. And so that's where we developed the Apex system. Now, in Apex, A runners are the top 2% of earners in any jurisdiction, of earners to runners in any jurisdiction in any year or season in the Southern Hemisphere. And what we found over the years is that since a horse can be an A runner one year but not another year and so forth, that 4% of foals become A runners at some point in their careers. That's about the same percentage as listed plus group winners. But the Apex ratings are earnings based necessarily. So while they're very good, and while I personally, when I do consulting work, that's all I use. That's all I ever used was our own Apex ratings. Um, I felt like we weren't capturing the upper echelon. We were in the upper echelon. We had the top 4%, but I wanted to go a step further and find the highest iteration of class, higher even than A runners. And when I met Dr. Emily Plant of the University of Montana, a lifelong horsewoman with a penchant for statistics and kind of a genius, uh, we discussed this, and I said I was interested in trying to do this. Would she be interested in working on it? And she said, yes, I would be interested in working on it. And that's how the SSR project developed. It's all based on our conviction that we needed to have a higher standard than A runners. We looked at grade 1/group 1, but also grade 2/group 2 winners. Group 1 winners alone are such a small sample size, one in every 250 horses, that you kind of get unreliable indicators, when you have such a small sample size. When you add in Group 2 winners, you have a big enough sample size. It's one in every 118 horses, 0.85% of the population. So the ratio of A runners to Group 1, Group 2 winners is between 4-1 and 5-1, which I think is about the right ratio of the very, very top class, or the elite, as opposed to the simply elite. Now we had identified what we considered to be the highest class of horse. So we created a system, a method, or a table. We created tables, really, of how do you do the calculation to figure out how these two categories blend together. So Emily worked out a formula, of which I don't even know, which very simply combines a horse's percentage of A runners, now counted uniquely. Once a horse becomes an A runner, he goes into a separate file of what we call unique A runners. It's been an A runner at least once. So we calculate the percentage of A runners, unique A runners, to named foals of racing age, 3-year-olds and up. And then we calculate the same percentage for Group 1, Group 2 winners. The SSR 50-point sire rating system is based on a blend of the A runner percentage and the Group 1, Group 2 winner percentage. We have a 50-point sire scale. So a horse can get up to 50 points. Now, interestingly, this is the scale that this is the table that correlates most with traditional sire tables, because traditional sire tables like the sire progeny earnings or the average earnings index do not take into account the mares to which the sire was bred. It's only what the sire has done. And that's fine up to that point. That's what people need to know. And Frankel has been the leading sire by sire points for the last 6 consecutive years. In terms of who's the best sire, regardless of the mares to which they were bred, the answer is right now, number 1 is Frankel. Now, one question that people has always plagued all of us who try and do analysis is, how do you assess whether a stallion is moving mares up? And there's a correlative question, a corollary question is, what happens with sires who start out at medium and shoot up and then start to get good mares? Do they continue to move the mares up or not? That's a different question. We'll get to that one in a minute. Once we know how good a sire is, then we assess how good were the mares to which the sire was bred, and how does the sire do as far as moving mares up or down. Again, we're using a 50-point scale, and the midpoint on a 50-point scale is 25 points. So if a sire has 25 or more mare points, he's moving his mares up. If he has less, he's not moving his mares up. So how do you assess how good the mare was? There's 2 ways to do that. They sound similar, but they're actually very different. One is called the CPI, which is the one we use, which is called the Class Performance Index, which means Class Performance Index, abbreviated CPI, and that's a measure of the mare's race record. So they take fillies and mares in each jurisdiction, in each year, at each age, and they calculate what their race record index is, in which 1.00 equals average for the population. The other way of doing it is called the comparable index, which is abbreviated CI, and sounds a lot like the CPI, but is actually completely different because it's all to do with the mare's production record. Both these statistics are produced by the U.S. Jockey Club. The CI has 2 logical problems in it for us. The first is that it changes every time a mare has a foal get to the races. So if you're trying to do calculations that don't have too many changes in them, then that's a negative for using that. But there's an even bigger negative, which is the CI does not take into account the mare's age. And we found from a lot of research we've done over the years that once a mare reaches the age of 22, her foal, she has a foal at the age of 22, it doesn't matter if she's had 6 Group 1 winners up till then. Her chances of getting a Group 1 winner at that age are minuscule. And therefore, by not taking the mare's age into account, this figure becomes, in our view, less reliable. So Emily ran a test, and she found that the results of the CPI and the results of using the CI were similar enough that it was not necessary to use both or to adjust one to the other. We could pick one. So we picked CPI because it's static. Once a mare is finished racing, her CPI doesn't change. So we estimate that even though 1.00 is the average CPI for the entire population, that commercial mares have to be higher. So from various tests we've done, we estimate, for example, in Australia, the average CPI of a commercial mare is 1.50. In North America and Europe, it's 2.00. So when we're looking at these CPIs, these average CPIs, then we want to see where they are, not just on the scale of 1.00, but on the scale in North America and Europe of 2.00. So we take this, do the formula, and boom, we come out with who are the best sires at moving mares up. And naturally, sires who start out with mares below 1 have an advantage, because if they're good, they're going to move those mares up a lot more than mares who are a 6. And that's why Memas has been the leading sire by mare points on the SSR tables for the last 3 years. So then the question becomes, well, what happens? What about these sires that have impossibly good mares, like See the Stars and Frankel and Dubawi and Galileo? And so we don't create a separate category, but we run a separate table of sires whose dam's average CPI is 3.00 plus. 3.00 is kind of like high allowance. When you get up to 4 and 5, you're into black type horses. 6, you're starting to get into group horses, all the way up to like 1 year Frankel's average dam CPI was something like 14. In this table as well, it's table 8, I believe, in the SSR book. In this table as well, 25 or higher means they're moving their mares up. Below 25 means they're not. And so when we look at that table, we can see that horses like Frankel and Dubawi and Galileo are still scoring in the high 40s out of a possible 50, even given the mares that they've been bred to. So, that matters. It makes a big difference. Then we have, so that's sire points, 50 mare points, add them together, count the sire and the mare equal, because who knows, you can have 100 possible points. So that's our kind of headline table, the combined sire plus mare points. And this year, Memes is the number 1 horse because his sire points were high enough combined with his mare points to make him the number 1. But when you look at it, the thing, my test always is, when I'm looking at the statistics that we've created and I eyeball it, you got to say to yourself, does this look right? Are these the horses that should be at the top? And I'm confident that we've identified the top horses through this methodology.